Issa's Adam meaning alone is a Turkish romance film that revolves around the relationship between a free-spirited man, Alper, and a children's clothing designer. Alper is a 30-some-year-old man from Taurus, and he has a completely different life from Alper owns a successful restaurant where he caters to various people in the city. Additionally, Alper has relationship problems and cannot commit to a woman. Hence he engages with various prostitutes and has one-night stands with different women. On the other hand, AA has a different life than a humble girl in her late 20s. She designs child costumes for a living and is also careful about her relationship. Alper usually has a glass of wine in this restaurant after his long day of cooking and often goes to the club to meet up with different ladies after going to the club and finding no one to be with. He decides to call Yasmin a married woman, whom he has an ongoing affair with because of Alper's lack of commitment issues. He usually doesn't pay attention to others during intercourse and often hurts them by being too hard. He doesn't ever let them stay over because he is used to being alone and doesn't want anyone to destroy his life of peace and freedom. After being with Yasmin, he sleeps the next morning. The house helper reproaches him for not sorting out the laundry or buying the cleaning soap. He promises to do it after work. He goes to the restaurant to cook for the food critic in his restaurant. He hopes that the man will love his food so that it will be featured in the newspaper after cooking. He sends it out with Senel, the restaurant server. Alper watches with joy as the man consumes the food happily. The next day is when he meets. Alper meets her at the library. The librarian often hides books for him so that other customers won't pick them up. He rejoices after signing the book she hid and makes a joke. Alper notices after she laughs at his joke. He quickly gets interested in her because she is pretty and young. She asks the librarian if she has a second-hand copy of a book, and the librarian rudely dismisses her. Loves second-hand copies because of the past and history of each book. She decides to take her to leave, and Alper shoots his shot by talking about a record. AA dismisses him because his pickup line was lousy, and she leaves him and starts walking to her store. Alper follows her without her knowing. He rushes to another bookstore to buy a copy of the book for her just to get her interested, although he cannot remember the exact name of the book. He remembers the author. The worker brings out the book, and he signs on the front page. Allah calls her aside to give her the book, and she mentions that she just wanted a second-hand copy. He continues to make jokes, hoping to impress her, but she comments that his joke is cheesy. Fighting hurt. He tries to leave, but she calls him back and accepts the book. Feeling bad, Alper follows her to her children's clothing store. He loves what she has done, and she says that it has been a passion since she was young. Further teases that he wants to buy one, but she doesn't do 50 sizes. He makes up a lie about getting a costume for his son, but because he doesn't see him often, his size must have changed. He finally gets her sympathy by talking about his divorce and how it affected the family. AA quickly tells him to bring the boy over to the store so he can get a costume for him. They could do a measurement. Alper feels he has won her over and celebrates on his way home on his way out of the store. He calls a prostitute and asks if she is home after sex. Alper tries to let the woman leave by giving her transport fare. He just wants to be alone, especially since she wants to touch him and be with him. She gets upset that he is being distant and leaves immediately, unable to sleep. Alper calls his mother back at home to find out how the family is. Alper is the breadwinner of the family after his father passed away. He often sends money to his mother and siblings. She mentions that she will be coming to Istanbul for a few days to be a marriage witness for his childhood friend. He is pleased to see her, but is scared that he won't be able to make time for her the next morning. Alper decides to bake a cake to A's shop, unknown to him. She has figured out his lie about being a single father and is upset. She asks him if he will always show up uninvited. He only wants to be close to her. He gives her the cake, and she brings up the topic of his child just to confront him. He calls her naive, and she throws a cup of coffee over his shirt. He leaves angrily after she rejects him. Allah buys another t-shirt and goes to work where the workers tease him about the kind of shirt he is wearing. He says that if someone looks at his shirt, he will fire them. The female workers gossip that the coffee stain on his shirt was spilled by a girl. They speculate that he may have a new love interest. His bad mood stops when he sees his restaurant review in the newspaper and he and the workers celebrate their success. AA feels bad for how she treated him, so she calls him to apologize. Alper makes it difficult for her and she tells him that the cake was amazing. She doesn't believe that he made it. He doesn't seem like the cooking type. Alper arrives at her store and teases her for the apology. He later invites her to his house so that she can see him cook for her. He is used to people not believing in his cooking skills. She tells him that she is not interested, that she could be married or be a lesbian. He tells her that only wants to be her friend. He promises that if she comes to his house for dinner, he will leave her alone. She is reluctant at first and then decides to honor his invitation in preparation. She looks for something great to wear while he cleans his apartment and buys food items to make dinner. She calls her friend Signum to talk about her decision to go to his house, wondering if it is the best decision to be with him. Arrives at his house wearing a beautiful dress. She buys a record for him from the store. He begins to cook for her and teases her by making her laugh. He likens food to poetry. After the food is dished up, he tells her to have a taste without having wine at first. Is convinced that he can cook after eating his food. He explains that if she had taken wine and eaten the food, it would have changed the taste of the food in her mouth. He loves the look on her face as she eats additionally. Alper says that he knows people by how they eat. He can tell that she takes life slowly and loves living serenely during the date. They talk more about each other and drink. She tells him that she studied fine arts in school and was an art director for various movies she quit because people started exploiting her. Although she hasn't lost her connection and still gives out her services, they drink more and dance to the music. He tells her to shut her eyes to soak in the music while her eyes are closed. He kisses her. She stops him, claiming that she must go home. He fights against her leaving and holds her closer. Manages to break free and wants to leave. She stops halfway and decides to remain with him. She kisses him immediately. They make love on the floor. Alper can't sleep with someone after sex, so he stands up to take a smoke. She wakes up early in the morning while he is still sleeping and starts to clean the house. He joins her and thanks her for cleaning around the house. He takes a sip from her coffee and refuses when she wants to make a cup for him. He can't believe that she is the first person that he slept with. He tells her that he has never spent the night with someone before she apologizes for inconveniencing him. Aida notices that he is weird and gets defensive. She knows that he is only drinking out of her coffee because he wants her to leave his apartment quickly. She leaves his apartment immediately. Even though he calls her back, she calls Hua __ to talk about what he did and cries __. Begins to think that she has fallen in love with Alper. Alper is having a tough time at work and is in a bad mood because won't talk to him. He decides to call her. But Signum picks up the phone. Later collects it and acts hard to get when he apologizes for his behavior in the morning. He pleads for a second chance. She tells him to call later and that it's not a good time. Alper later visits her store so that they can talk. He decides that they should go out to get food and talk about life. He takes her to a restaurant where they play good music. They smile and hold each other on the way to her apartment. They sing a song together. He hopes that she will let him into his apartment. She later tells him to come in, but they will only sleep together. They start to kiss immediately on the bed. He holds her roughly and she gets scared. They begin uncomfortably, and he apologizes for being rough. He is not used to being gentle with women. AA decides to show him how to make love. Gently, she moves closer to him. She starts by asking him to feel her hands while she rides him. She shows him how to gently love him as they have sex. He feels connected for the first time during pillow talk. He mentions that it was a beautiful time they spent together for the first time. He cuddles with a woman in bed the next morning. He makes breakfast for her in bed. He wears sunglasses because he believes that he is ugly in the morning, but she removes them. He takes her to his restaurant and introduces her to everyone. The female workers look at her with envy and believe that he may want to settle down. Alper later discloses that he started cooking from a young age and learned from his mother while they share about their family. She tells him of her neglected family. She doesn't talk to them often. They start a relationship and spend more time together while sharing more intimate details about themselves. He shares that he opened the restaurant when his father sold him land. Alper feels he is very happy with AA as they go shopping, clubbing, and eating together during their relationship. He has forgotten his life of one-night stands, but missed the freedom he used to have. One night he leaves in the house to walk. He calls a prostitute that he hasn't called for a while. She invites him in, but he leaves because he respects his relationship with He returns to bed and AE is suspicious of his absence. They prepare for his mother's visit, and she is excited that she will be meeting him. Alper decides that his mother should meet his girlfriend as well. His mother is pleased to meet A and L, that they are in a relationship. She can't believe that he is finally thinking of settling down during the ride home. Worries whether his mother should sit in the front with him. Alper is uncomfortable with the talk in the car and feels that he needs to be away from his mother, and his mother tries to push him to come to the wedding, but Alper refuses and says that he has a lot of work to do. Offers that she will go so that Albert's mother won't feel lonely when they get home. His mother shows him the dress that she plans to wear for the wedding, but he isn't happy. She's wearing something so simple. AA suggests that they go to the mall to find a gown. They go to the mall to search for a dress. His mother is in awe of everything in the mall and babbles about how great every place is when they settle down for dinner. Ed reveals that she loves Alper. His mother is pleased because Alper deserves the best. She complains that Alper seems strong but is always silent. He never lets anyone know his troubles. He is not very affectionate with her and hasn't kissed her on the cheek for so long. His mother pleads that AA should never leave him. AA promises her that she will never be away from him because she loves him. And his mother join Alper for dinner at his restaurant. His mother continues to talk so much about the mall and the restaurant. Alper can't help that she's being loud and talking so much. In the process of talking so much, she spills her drink and tries to clean it. Alper shouts at her unknowingly and attracts people's attention. The atmosphere in the room is uncomfortable. Tries to change the topic and says that they could go to the ferry tomorrow. His mother
is pleased that she wants to spend time with her during the ride home. Alper doesn't talk and is feeling bad after his outburst. After he drops AA at home, he takes his mother to his house. He apologizes to her for snapping. He confides in her that it is hard for him, and she wants him to know that she is proud of him. Despite how he feels, Alper visits Ada in the night and gives her flowers to apologize for his behavior. She notices that he has been drinking. He wants to stay with her, but he needs to get back to his mother. He kisses her, and she tells him that she loves him the next morning. And the mother go on a gypsy boat together and take pictures on the wedding day. Alper gives his friend gold coins because he can't stay for the wedding. He goes back to work to host some people while A stays with his mother while his mother is ready to leave. She advises Alper to not leave. She believes that A is the most precious thing in his life. A and Alper drive home. He begins to feel the weight of the relationship. AA gets home and wants to eat. She blabs about food while he stares at her. Alper decides to end the relationship but tells her that he loves her first. A is silent after the news and soon starts to cry. She says that the relationship must have been a waste of time. She asks him why he was so persistent in chasing her, if he was going to leave anyway. Alper doesn't do or say anything and watches her as she cries. She grabs her bag and slaps him across the face. He follows her to the road and lets her know that he doesn't deserve her. Believes that he is joking and lying about his feelings for her. He tries to tell her that he doesn't want to be part of someone's life and doesn't want anyone to be part of his. She leaves him and walks away from the possibility of reconnecting with him. He gets to the restaurant and they surprise him for his birthday. He is depressed and soon returns to being with prostitutes and getting drunk. Senil approaches him and wants to drink with him because he has special news. Alper is glad that his wife is pregnant and rejoices that he will be an uncle. Soon Senil notices that there might be something wrong with him when he sees how much he's drinking. 4 years pass, and he is more depressed than ever. He takes Senil's son to the cinema and sees __. She is in the company of A, turns to see him, and he is surprised. He doesn't know what to say, especially since they haven't seen each other for years. A now resides in London with her husband and her 4-year-old daughter. She shows her a picture of her child. He realizes that she's the little girl he saw at the beach. A only came back to visit family and friends in his mind. He says that he misses her and wonders if moving on is all for revenge. He remembers that the hair clip reminded him of her, and he can't bear that he lost her. Alper knows that he loves her because he walks on the street of her store every day but doesn't want to see her. He isn't sure of what she would say or do. They don't say the things on their mind. Doesn't mention that she took a trip with his mother to his hometown. She doesn't want him to know anything about her. He lies that he is seeing someone new, but it's all a front. They share one tearful last hug before Alper leaves confused and desolate as they look at each other for the last time. Imagine is a happy ending, an ending they deserved.